I'd like to tell you a story. That's what I'd like to do. So last week, a colleague of mine called Chris, who I've been working with for about 4 weeks, he came to see me because he had this problem and he wanted to talk it through. Let me give you a bit of background. Chris is a team leader and he has 8 people in his team, including him. And the way the team works is that they get to appoint their leaders on a sort of regular basis, I guess. And what he was struggling with is that they had been going through protocols and procedures around teams and how people would come in to work and whether they would be late and what would happen and all these kind of things. Anyway, he found that he was just beating his head against a brick wall, I guess, so he wanted to talk. And this is a little bit how the conversation kind of went. He sort of said to me, I'm really struggling with the balance between leading and managing. I'm used to just knowing exactly what happens, and then sometimes I might delegate activities and then the work just gets done. But in this case, that's not working. What do you think is going on? I said. I'm really not very empathetic. I really don't understand how people work, and because of that, I don't really know why they're doing what they're doing. I'm really frustrated. So what are you going to do? I said. And he said, well, I think I need to talk with them. And I want to take out the people who I don't know very well. I want to take them out for coffee and I want to find out what makes them tick, because if I can understand them, then I'll be able to see their point of view. And if I can see their point of view, I'll be less judgmental. Interesting, I said. What else? I need to be silent more in meetings because I'm the first person to answer. And if I answer, nobody else speaks. So what I really need to do is give them a space to voice. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had conversations like this with people all through my working careers. Have you? With colleagues? Yeah, what's maybe more surprising and interesting about this is that Chris is 19 years old and he's a student. And he and his other 7 team members first met each other 4 weeks ago when they joined as first years on our Business Team Entrepreneurship program, which runs at Bishop Grosseteste University. Now, the program itself is based on a model called Team Academy, Team Academy from Finland. And there are Team Academy programs all over the world. And in fact, in the UK, there are another 4 universities that run Team Academy style programs. So ours is not unique. Interestingly, there's something about the way in which these programs enable young people to have complex and really challenging conversations with each other. Because Chris's ability to be deeply self-reflective is not unique to him. It's something that I've noticed with all the students, and we call them team entrepreneurs, that I've met across a number of different team academies in the 7 years that I've been working with this kind of model. And interestingly, at the moment, all of these team entrepreneurs are based in business schools or faculties of business in higher education. So what is it about the program that makes it enable people to have these kind of complex conversations? There's a term called Heutagogy. And interestingly, all team entrepreneur programs are built around the idea that team entrepreneurs have the capacity and the capability to determine for themselves their own learning destiny. So what this actually means is they write the curriculum. They decide what they're going to learn, they decide when they're going to learn it, and how they're going to do that. They are truly leaders of their learning journey. Heutagogy is all about self-determination. And it's all about being autonomous and actually learning about learning. How do we do that? So the interesting thing here is it's really taken traction in the world of distance learning. And in a technologically savvy and globally connected world, I guess it's hardly surprising, because does it make more sense to be working heutagogically than it does to be desk-bound? I would say that anyone has the capability of engaging with this kind of learning approach regardless of what you're doing and how you're doing it. But there is a massive leap to make, because our current education system, formalized education system, has a traditional base that's basically not really necessarily preparing people to really truly think for themselves. Natalie Canning put this in a really interesting way when she was trying to explain the difference between pedagogy and heutagogy. So in schools you have pedagogy, and pedagogy is the instruction of learning. So learners come in and they are fed information, and in lots of schools they do lots of other exciting things too, but essentially the curriculum is controlled by national outcomes, things that they have to achieve. So the learning is instruction-led. Next along you have andragogy, and this is all about learning by doing. You connect through the learning and it cultivates an understanding of the learning because you're doing something, but there's still quite a lot of direction there. Heutagogy is at the other end of the scale. It is utterly self-led. The desire and the thing that you are going to learn doesn't come from an outside source, it comes from within you as the learner. Now this poses a lot of difficulty for people trying to make the transition from a pedagogic approach to learning to something that is heutagogical. Because if you want to make that leap, students who engage in a team entrepreneur program have to be able to communicate and connect with lots of other people. They have to be able to work with a team and in a team. They also have to be able to understand how to identify and seek opportunities for those kinds of collaborations to occur. And it's not easy. There are many ways that you can develop tools to help support people in a heutagogical approach. And in our program, we do this. We work together. Team becomes the construct that we use in order to make these kind of connections. They have to work together as part of a team, which means they have to learn how to communicate, to negotiate, to understand. And there's a level of interdependence that is required because they have to know that who I am and what I do does not just impact on me, it impacts on everybody around me as well. We coach and we don't teach. And this is a different way of thinking. There are no taught inputs at all. So students are coached through the process of learning, through supportive challenge. Learning is pulled from them by their peers. And then we don't push learning back in. So it's a different way of thinking. There is no timetable in terms of structured activity. So immediately, team entrepreneurs are placed into a period of uncertainty and ambiguity. In fact, chaos prevails. It's wonderful. But what it means is that right away, they have to get together as a team in order to gain any kind of control over the situation. And it's not an easy thing to do. We also play. Play is essential for life, but it's also essential for innovating and creative ideas. Through play, physically, your body actually opens up. Blood rushes through your body if you're doing warm-ups and exercises, and it enables you to think differently. It's fun as well, and there has to be joy. And lastly, we look at William Isaac's idea of dialogue, this thing about thinking together. In dialogue, we work on the principle that people need to suspend their own judgment in order to truly respectfully listen to what they're hearing other people say. And in the listening, when they do finally voice, they're building on the idea of the team entrepreneur that spoke before them rather than disregarding it. Sounds like utopia? Yeah, paradise. But there are serious challenges here for us. First one being that making that leap between pedagogy and heutagogy is extremely hard and very painful for lots of people. Coaching is also incredibly emotionally exhausting. Having been an educator for 20 plus years, I know that a teacher can pretty much track the sort of way a lesson is going to work, whereas a coach can't. We have to be utterly at the service of the team that we are coaching. So we have to follow their ebb and flow all the time, being acutely aware of where's the learning going here? What are they missing? How can I challenge with a useful question? And education is also fast becoming a commodity. The idea that you pay me and I teach you would kind of indicate that the student has no responsibility after that transaction. And yet that is not true, and nor should it be. I believe fundamentally that this kind of model of approach enables us to really look at how learners can lead themselves into the future. It's a bit like that analogy of if you fit your own oxygen mask first before you fit somebody else's, then you will be okay. And it's the same with this. What are we teaching young people about their ability to lead themselves, regardless of the subject discipline? I'd like to leave you with going back to Chris because he was still trying to wrestle with this dynamic. And he spoke to another 2 or 3 team entrepreneurs who'd been in leadership situations. They very kindly let me video some of what they were talking about. And I want to leave you with this question, which is really, how could we revolutionize the way that we think about, talk about, feel about, and act about leadership if we allowed our learners for today to just lead themselves?
But the different problems, the core problems of concentration, getting stuff done, accountability, that sort of thing. I think the way that it affected me was not behind the football and all the talk of lavish behaviour and things, almost.
Yeah.
Like when you were team lead, you said like being in a group with a lot of louder boys and stuff. How did that make you feel?
It kind of makes you feel like you're out of the social circle, like you're not a part of it and no one really wants you to be a part of it. And then if I was to say, come on guys, we need to get back to it, I am the boring one sat in the corner that doesn't really want people to be having fun. And
How
that's
did
really
you deal with
difficult.
that?
I would say I have really dealt with it, yeah.
On a level playing field, because how do you separate it out?
Yeah, and I'd say like it's hard because if you are a lead, been like trying to be still a team member and still bond with your team, not just be seen as the one in charge, of course.
Yeah, I'm finding it hard. Like people, I want to feel like still on the same level as everyone else, and as a team leader at the minute, people are looking to me for guidance. And like people, like the other day, we were in a session, and I had the challenge to stay silent for the entire session. And the first thing that got asked was, right, how do you want to conduct this session? And everyone just turned and looked at me, and I had to sit there in complete silence, which I found quite difficult.
You haven't learnt though what each other can do and how you can play together. So it's still going back to that. We're not used to no structure in a way like schooling.
Yeah, like it is a completely different degree in the fact that there's no real structure to it, but you're not taught in the same way you're coached. And you're just pushed in the right direction to find out things for yourself as opposed to being told what to do and being spoon-fed.
You could ask for anything as well. If you needed help with anything, they'd kind of give you it. Like sometimes they just write it for you, but here it's what would you do?
And like if you're in the team, when you find an issue, you bring the team into it. Like if you're in a group work in a normal degree, you're thrown together and it's quite selfish. You just want your thing to do well. Whereas here, you've got to support each other.
You have to think about the others, don't
Yeah.
you?
It is a big support network, not just in your own teams, within all.
Thank you.